All right, perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us again, everyone. I can see a few regulars and I can see a few new names as well. I'm just going to make sure that you can hear me because I don't see the microphone. Can somebody confirm in the chat that you can hear me? All right, perfect. Thanks so much for joining us. I can see a bunch of regular names and I can see a few new names as well. It's brilliant to be doing this again. I'm sorry, I have a bad throat, so I sound a little odd. Also, I had some feedback about my accent in the last webinar, so I'm going to be a little bit slower today. But regardless, what we have, like we have every few weeks, is a list of amazing ideas that we want to walk you through. Now, this time we're going to do it a little bit different. Normally I walk through a lot of screenshots and that kind of stuff. Today we are going to lead with some psychological biases that we feel exist when someone's shopping with you. And so we're going to focus on how to address them and how to create those biases. In some cases, you want the customer to be biased in some way or form. And so we're going to cover that. Some of the ideas, while I talk about them, might seem that they are simple, but trust me, one of the key things that I wanted to take away from the webinar is how you can convert that simple idea into something that works purely for your brand. The thing about us doing these ideas is, as the title suggests, we've learned them from auditing over 500 stores. ConvertCart, as a company, runs more than 12,000 experiments in a year. So there's a very high depth of learning that we have in the conversion rate optimization and the email marketing field. But when we are talking on a forum like this, we have to keep things a little bit more general and more widely applicable / more widely relevant. So I'm going to try and keep this as useful as possible. And I really hope that you're able to take at least one idea away from our discussion today. Okay, all right, so let's get in. If you have any questions while I'm speaking, please put it in the chat or in the Q&A section, and I'll try and take it up while I'm talking, if it is about what I'm talking about. Otherwise, we'll take Q&A at the end. And we have some 10 things to walk you through and about 4 things in each of those 10 things. So we're going to just kind of pace this up in a way that it works. And if you want me to slow down, please let me know. Please keep the chat useful. Some people are actually DMing me instead of using everyone to chat. That way, not everyone can see your question. So if you want it that way, great. But if you want everyone to see your question, please pick the everyone option and then begin the chat. All right. The first thing that we want to talk about is temporal reframing. What temporal reframing essentially means is adjusting how time is presented, right? Now, if you see what I've done while introducing you to the webinar is I've said, hey, we have some 10 ideas and 4 things in each of those 10. So I'm just trying to make it look like there's not a lot, and we're going to go through it in a very fast pace. But we've blocked an hour with you as far as the webinar goes, and we've structured the ideas in a way that they keep getting more interesting as I go. So the idea of temporal reframing is shifting how time is perceived, and that applies to shopping in a huge way. And so I'm going to show you an example of how you can use it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to understand a concept, and then we're going to look at how e-commerce or shopping can benefit from it. So this is a kind of e-commerce conversion optimization plus a psychology class. So that's great. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is how you could apply it is to break down high value products into smaller agreeable amounts. There are 2 ways to do this. The first is your Klarna, and all of these EMI apps that you generally use. But that's one easy way to do it. The other way is to compare the break down and compare it with just like a cup of coffee every week, or it's only worth buying a pencil every 2 weeks or something like that, right? So you're really breaking that down. And what this does, I'm just giving you an example of what temporal reframing is. So depending on what you're selling, you have to try and see first, what is it that you want to reframe? Do you want to reframe just the price? Do you want to reframe the shipping time? Do you want to reframe the brand's positioning, etc.? But the idea is that you can actually, influence the way the frontal lobe of a human works. And that's one of the ways in which marketers invite you to click on ads. They just want you to impulsively really like something and instantly try and click. So when you take that to the next level, these are some ways in which you can do it. And I'm going to give you another example. Like in this case, for example, it says, if you look at this email, there's no urgency that it creates for me. right? Oh no, your points are expiring soon. So it starts with, oh no, that's great. That's a great opening. So it makes me read the rest of it. And the next one is going to be, your points are expiring soon. So there's no quantification. And so my brain thinks, okay, this is one of those, but what you really want to do is quantify it. So in this case, still thinking it over, in 3 days, this deal is ending. So this is it. This is the last time that, last couple of times we'll remind you about it, then it's over. The other thing you could do with temporal reframing is making your shipping look a little bit better. Like I remember working with this brand that does bags, and they manufacture those bags on US soil, but also some of the bags on Mexican soil. And so one of the key challenges they have is they keep running out of stock because these are handmade bags, and because they would run out of stock, they would just be a sitting duck. So we did some temporal reframing, and we said, hey, we will never go out of stock again. It takes us 15 days to get back in stock. And so we permanently made the site appear like a handcrafted ordering site. So now it was like ordering a Porsche. I don't know if you know what the Porsche ordering experience looks like. I don't own a Porsche. I hope to own a Porsche, but I'm one of those, petrol heads who would go to the Porsche site, configure the car, go all the way till the booking amount screen, and just then kind of check out. So my dream spec of a Porsche, as most petrol heads have one, has that whole experience associated with buying the car. So that makes you feel like the car is built for you, which is the case with Porsche. So in the case of that bag store, what we did is we said, made to order for you. And so the moment they would go out of stock, we would change from buy now to pre-order, or buy now to place an order. And that would essentially mean that we will build the bag for you once you order it. And that made it that much more special. The conversion rate was the same as the buy now button, and it made a lot of sense for the brand. So that's temporal reframing for you. You're going to go to the next one. This is something that IKEA benefits from a lot, endowment effect, right? So this is, if you make someone invest into the product, the process, the experience, they will feel invested, and so they will think that it is theirs, and it would make a lot of sense. This is true for Korean barbecue. This is true for hot pot. If you've been to one, this is true for all of these experiences where you are being made a part of the overall outcome. Like IKEA, for example, sells, dismantled furniture. So you take it back, you put it together, it's a whole thing. And then, because you put it together, you're a little bit more attached to the product. You like it a little bit more than you would in the other case. So how you could create that in the online shopping universe is by allowing people to do something. It could be bundling the products together. It could be, picking, like the moment they enter the site, picking their gender or their preference in general, doing any kind of filtration or setup related, experience that allows them to invest into the shopping bit a little bit more. The other way that brands do that is through trials, right? Warby Parker is famous for doing that. As far as eyewears go, you get 5 pairs at home, you can try them on, send them back. They can do that. They were disrupting, raised a lot of VC money. I don't expect you to do that. What you could do is see if you can add a call to action on the product page saying, see it getting tried on, or see how it looks, and then load up a user generated content experience where actual humans, real users or customers, which you might or might not have found on Fiverr, are unboxing the product, wearing it, trying it on, figuring it out. So what that allows you to do is create a setting where people are investing that extra minute to evaluate the product. Although later on, I will also talk about why you don't want people to do that, but we'll talk about that when we get there. The other thing I want you to do is slowly learn copywriting. And I think it's easier now than ever. Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, all of those robots can help you write slightly better copy if you're not a copy wizard already. But generally speaking, you want to keep things a little bit more interesting. Well, instead of, for example, improve your skin, if you're talking about benefits, you want to talk about what exactly you're kind of delivering. I'll show you some examples of before and after copies as we talk about in this discussion. I think it's point 4 or 5. But that will truly tell you what I mean by copy. Now, In terms of CTAs, add to your cart, complete your order now. Very simple stuff here. If you look at this one, for example, a fine dining experience for your skin, right? So what you're trying to do is you're saying this is premium products that are, ordered a la carte, and they are similar to a fine dine experience essentially. And if you see, the word that's common across all of these CTAs is your, the word your. And that's where personalization begins. As a matter of fact, I've been in marketing, I've been in sales for a while now. And one of the things we always teach people that join fresh in the team is stop talking about ConvertCard and absolutely stop talking about yourself. Just purely focus on talking about the customer. So even for people that come and speak with us, in the first call that we have with them, we do not sell. We never make a pitch. We only do audits. And so if you want an audit of your store, please sign up. You'll reply to my email and we'll run a full-blown tear down of your site and we'll present our findings to you. Now, let's go to the reciprocity loop. Now, in this case, people will generally elicit loyalty. You can elicit loyalty from shoppers, with small acts of rewarding or gifting them essentially. How can you essentially make your shoppers feel a little bit more cozy with you, a little bit more warm? And what that does is it creates a feeling of indebtedness with your shoppers. And what that feeling does is it wants them to reciprocate. It urges the customer to reciprocate. So how you could apply something like that is to offer genuinely useful. So it could be, for example, a skincare guide. It could be a free size of it consultation. It could be a quiz that can help you find your problems. Like we work with a lot of cosmetics brands, and we would generally do a quiz that instead of recommending a product, first helps narrow down on the problem. So what are your symptoms, right? Do you have dry skin? Is it oily? How old are you? Where do you live? Quality of the water you use? All of those things. And then you finally say, hey, this could be a problem, or this could be a problem. What do you relate to more? And depending on the problem, the pick is when the product happens. So now you've actually unlocked something new. You've given them some new information, and you've made their life a little bit easy, in response to which they will actually go as far as the product page. They will actually see how you're trying to solve that problem. They will give you that 2 seconds of attention that you're so desperately in need of, and are also paying thousands of dollars every month for. All right, send them really helpful content. Your route, so this is actually very, very relatable for me. We just moved to a new place, and router placement was a huge point, just so that my internet works as well as it is working now. So a router placement guide, for example, right? Or an apartment workout optimization form. So, you're just trying to add a value by creating useful content that everyone, finds worthy. And I think oftentimes brands mix up generating any content with generating useful content. So what I want everyone to prioritize is, even if you can publish just one piece of content a month, it has to be absolutely amazing, laser focused on your ideal customer profile, and extremely useful for them. And then, of course, handwritten notes. So one of the things that I feel that a lot of e-commerce founders still don't do is, which I'm not a big fan of, is a lot of founders still don't write direct emails to their customers, right? And that's not great. That's a very important practice. Similar to the newsletter that I send, you have to converse directly with your customer. Nobody can pitch the product better than you, never. And so you have to try and do that. In this case, the examples that I'm talking about are a free gift and a personalized video, but I think a great place to start would be just saying, hey, I know you were checking out our product. We spent a lot of time and effort in putting this together. I would love to know what you think about it. And just give them a few CTAs. Instead of asking them to reply, just say, I thought it was pricey. I think it was great. I've completely forgot about it. I didn't need it, etc. And then they click a CTA to tell you what exactly the response is. You can track the clicks in whatever you use for emails. If it is engaged, we'll track the clicks for you. And that gives you insights, plus you've sent them somewhere. So that works really well. Consistency laddering. This is an interesting one. This is about getting micro commitments, before asking them for a full purchase. It's an age-old concept. I know I'm not saying anything new, but I think I wanted to think about this in a slightly simpler way. Like in this case, adding to wish list, joining the wait list, taking the quiz is obviously an easy way to do that. But the other thing is, after they've done that, what is the next step that you want them to do, right? So instead of asking them to buy, as I said before, they've taken a quiz, they've done something, and you're saying, hey, if you want some savings, why don't you create an account, right? If you want early access to favorites, why don't you do that? So I think that goes a long way. You've actually just gotten a sign up, and if somebody's giving you that much time, if they are in the consideration part of the funnel where they're just thinking if they want to buy the product or not, at least you have their details, so you can do a browse recovery or a cart recovery and so on and so forth. So I think that would be phenomenal. After that, you can always bring them back. You can be using an email and SMS saying, hey, your wish list is ready, or you've unlocked your first reward, keep going, etc. So you could build streaks. It becomes, it switches to product thinking after that point. We are at number 5. I hope everything's good. If you feel I'm too fast, I'll slow down. So if you have any feedback for me, please put it in the chat. If it is harsh feedback, please DM me on the chat. But I'm happy to iterate the way that I'm walking you all through this, if that helps. So let me know. So Zeigarnik effect. So this is another interesting one. Incomplete tasks are discomforting, right? The brain fundamentally does not like open loops. And that's true for all humans. And so what you want to do or try and do is to leave a loop incomplete for your customer. I know it sounds a little manipulative, etc., but I think we're all here to learn. So let's learn the concept and use it in a way that's constructive for both us and our customers. Now, in this case, for example, you're not actually doing a quiz. You're only saying, hey, you know what? I had a quick question. What's your skin type? Is it what's your hair type, maybe in that case? So is it straight? Is it wavy? Is it curly? And the reason what you're trying to do is, if it's left midway, you can also stop them. You can also do an exit intent pop up. And I don't know why stores don't do this. It's the simplest thing you could put together on a store like yours, and just avoid at least a certain percentage of the bounce that you get. So in this case, for example, sure, you don't want a code, your progress won't be saved. So everything you filled up so far won't be saved. So that's another interesting one. And then of course you can send a series of emails we've identified as key areas that are affecting your skin health. And then also create anticipation for the next one. So what we generally do for browse abandonment, when we set it up for our customer, is the first one is, oh, you left this. Did you know this about this? What we're going to tell you tomorrow is going to be even better. And then we send them another different fact. But if you're not pitching the product, we're just adding value. So the email has some fundamental value to it. They want to, if they read it, they'll not feel bad. They'll not see it's an offer email. They'll see it as an email that is giving them good information. But you have to be very useful. You have to, as I've said this word, I think 18,000 times in this webinar already, you have to use it with caution. Excessive reminders, creating artificial urgency, is running out, sending a timer, your life will change. All of that is not going to happen. Keep it simple, keep it classy. Think about your brand as an individual and behave like you want that individual to behave. Okay. Semantic priming. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes in marketing, most of the times, but generally you don't want people to think. Okay. There is brain generally has two systems. System 1, system 2. There's also a phenomenal book called Thinking Fast and Slow, which explains this in amazing detail. I promise if you read that book, it will level you up for life for good. It's a phenomenal book. But what I'm trying to say here is, system 1 is quick. It is unconscious. It is instant. It is autopilot, right? And system 2 is rational. It takes time. It thinks, it evaluates, and then acts, right? So when you're at McDonald's and you add a burger to your order, and then you add those nuggets, and then you add a sauce, 50-cent or $1 sauce to your order, that 50-cent or $1 sauce is normally your system 1 allowing you to do that. If you're really hungry, there is no system 2. Really hungry and ordering at a McDonald's or a Popeyes, it means full system 1. You're gonna go crazy. You're gonna have 2 burgers, 3 fries, 2 nuggets, and whatever. So you just basically go crazy. Point is, as a marketer, you have to find a way to appeal to system 1 in the most effective way possible. So the first thing, and it works, If you're not doing it, give it a shot. If you want to A/B test this, talk to us. But all of the language that you use matters, right? These are some cliche words that I've put here. I want you to pick wisely on the basis of what you want your brand to look like, right? The next thing is, of course, priming through category names. So this is again a fantastic example of how copy can change the game. So instead of budget basics, everyday essentials. Instead of top picks, curated finds. Instead of personal products, self-care must-haves, right? So you are, in a way, pitching while you are, I'll give you an example. Recently, I was looking at a real estate ad, and instead of having like a boring form that asks for my phone number and email ID and whatnot, it asked me a very simple question. That was the first question on the ad. It said, what made you click on the ad, or what made you invest in XYZ, the location that the ad was for? And the options were phenomenal. The options were, I'm looking for 8% plus gains in capital gains. I'm looking for high rentals. I was like, this is great. Even through the questions and generating the lead, they're pitching. And so that was great. That's how you prime, a user and try and keep them in the first brain. What they're doing is, from the ad to the form, if I'm switching to logic and thinking these people are going to spam me, they're stopping that from happening. And that's phenomenal, right? Use visuals that prime the shopper's imagination. Now, for example, don't just show books on a shelf or a book, right? Show the book sitting next to a tea, with some candle. Just when you are selling plush fabrics, show them on skin instead of folded up. Show them zoomed in. I think those things matter a lot. Also, try and explain the feeling of, because what people generally do is they imagine how something will feel like. They think into the future. So you have to bring that future to them instantly using images and copy, and that's what will keep them in system one. And I'm going to talk about that more in the future. Press mentions are fantastic way to do that. Quotes are even better way. The best volumizing tubing mascara, one swipe will get you a natural look, while a second border lash extension is the best way. So instant pitch, no doubt that this is a brand that people like. You're just going to pick the one you want. You're not even going to think about whether you need it or not. Okay, works very well. Let's go to the next one. Effective forecasting. So this is an extension of what I just said. You have to let people predict how they're going to feel in the future. And generally what people try and do, for example, if you're standing in the Apple store and you're looking at the iPhone 16 Pro, which looks like the 15 Pro, which looked like the 14 Pro, which looked like the 13 Pro, you're generally thinking, if I buy this, will I regret it? So most people are risk avoiding, they're regret avoiding, they are just not trying. Instead of making a good decision, they're consistently thinking of avoiding making a bad decision. That's generally how people do. And so what you want to do is show them how the product will feel later. The first way to do that is to emotionally charge the prospective future you are showing to them, right? Imagine walking into the weekend feeling 100% organized, right? Imagine having no laundry to do, right? Sleep like a baby, stress-free and pain-free. Feel instantly put together the moment you slip this on, right? So you're like, this is brilliant. The thing is, marketing world is extremely noisy and it's extremely crowded. So just thinking that you will say this and it'll work will not work alone. You have to visually present it, and you have to do a fantastic job of placing it in the right place at the right time for people to actually notice. That's why experimentation is important. The other thing is, even with the testimonials, you have to talk about how someone feels with your product instead of just anything, right? This planner has totally calmed my anxiety. Nobody pitches a planner for anxiety. Everybody talks about the quality of the paper. It doesn't matter. The outcome matters. The benefit matters, right? I felt so confident wearing this to the event. The scent makes my morning routine feel luxurious, right? So that is the part of the brain you're trying to activate. I hope I'm driving my point home. If you have any questions, please let me know. Use emotion-driven product descriptions. Your product description is probably the most underrated part of your product page. If you think people don't read it, you're wrong. Your most important customer that is giving you that extra minute is reading it. And so it's that much more important. It's like you have a store There are people who walk in about 5 or 7 feet into the store, look around, and then leave. And then you are just continuously optimizing for those people. That's not the point. You have to optimize people who are walking up to the rack, touching the product, looking at it, looking at the price tag. That's the person you're optimizing for. That's the person you would go and ask, hey, can I help you in any way? Is there anything specific I can help you with? Right? Instead of made from organic cotton, soft on your skin, softer on your conscience. We are 100% organic. Right? So you are just trying to make a effective pitch. Battery doesn't like last 10 hours. It stays powered all day without worrying once. So that's how you want to kind of communicate this. Let's go to the next one. Effort justification. If they had to put an effort to get it, they would generally value it more. And this is very similar to the endowment effect that I spoke about earlier. So I'm going to dive into this. Let's get into the first one. Start a social media, name the product context. So this is a very quick hack. We just added it. So the thing is that how do you get people to give you, put in some effort? And the way to do that is to have them invest. So if you have a social media community, why don't you invite names for your products by your customers? If you have that kind of following, we've seen this being done once. It worked very well. We have more than 10,000 name suggestions. Everybody felt invested. There was a kind of, if it's a high value, this thing, we also did a discount for the first 100 entries, something like that. And it kind of felt very interesting to people in that way. Get shoppers to build something. I've spoken about this before. And instead of building your own bundle, it could also be kind of picking your preferences. Brands that do this very well, for example, are, nobody was configuring their cars till Porsche came around. Porsche was the first one. But nobody was doing that for not so expensive cars. Porsche, how many people even visit the Porsche site? It's not very high. So at the moment, this is true for Tesla. It's true for everybody else as well. You really can't configure the car, but you at least invest yourself in building it and putting it together. So you pick the car, you pick the wheels, you pick the color, you pick the driving mode, and it feels like you're building it, but you're not. You're really not. The traditional way of buying the car was, hey, I like this car. I'm going to walk up to the dealership. Okay, this is okay. And then you sit down on the table, you work the math, and you say, okay, what are the options? That's how it was done. And it was broken because people were not feeling invested. Now the car buying experience has completely changed. And that's I think a better example of how this works. UGC. I think I already spoke about how user-generated content has to be emotional. But in this case, I'm saying after your customers have received your product, ask them to generate content with it and give it to you in exchange for something. So show us your setup goals, desk accessories. If you're selling desk accessories, wear it and kind of send it to us. If it's pet products, send a picture of your dog. I think that goes really well. It makes for the most trustworthy content you can put on your site. If you can show 50 people, 50 dogs eating the dog food, I'm going to try it. There's no doubt that I'm not going to try it, right? And if it's the kind of dog that I have, even better. So you're personalizing. So you've asked me if I have a Labrador or a Rottweiler or a German Shepherd, and I'm on the product page, it says this is perfect for German Shepherds. Amazon does this for automobile. If you're looking for car covers, Amazon at some point would have asked you what car you have. If you have a Honda Civic, it's going to tell you this will fit your Honda Civic perfectly. And it makes you say, hey, fantastic. This person not only knows what I want, they're also making sure that it's going to fit me. And so I think this is it just completely transforms the way you look at the purchase experience. And then tie the purchase to a cost. We have had a client for a long time that sells yoga mats. They plant a tree for every yoga mat somebody buys, right? And the yoga mat is like $120. So it's like not a cheap yoga mat. But the thing is, it's totally worth it because I could actually plant. If somebody can plant a huge tree for me, I would pay $120 for just the tree alone. Forget about the yoga mat. And so it's such a huge reward in exchange for the purchase that it makes the price feel smaller. And that's fantastic, right? All right, omission bias. This is one of the biggest things. Warren Buffett said that the biggest mistakes that he's made in his career are not the mistakes of commission, they're the mistakes of omission. Meaning, It's not the mistakes that he made or stocks that he purchased and they did not grow or went wrong. It's the one that he did not do. It's the things that he passed on and said no to that were the worst ones, right? So generally, as I said, people think that they will regret if they buy something. If they'll probably pick the wrong variant, it will not look nice, it will not fit well, it will not look presentable, and so on and so forth. And that creates this omission avoidance where they keep shunting between I need it, I don't want it, I want it, I don't want it. And so you want to kind of beat that. And the way to do that is first is to reduce the fear of taking action. I don't know if your brand is doing this or not, but you have to find a way to do it. You have to make the math work. Free returns, money back guarantees, cancel anytime, get a refund. You will create trust in an unmatched way. I know not everyone can do this, but you can maybe do something equivalent, right? If you don't like it, we'll refund some part of the money that you paid us, or something on those lines. I think you can think about this for your own brand. If I was talking to you directly and I knew what brand you are, I would give you a suggestion specific to your brand. Highlight the risk of inaction. Are you still dealing with back pain? Right. There's only 3 left, so you might regret it later. Every day you wait, you lose conversions. Every day you wait, not working with ConvertCard, you lose more conversions. You've lost 20 orders just today because you were not working. So that's really what you're trying to kind of do. Why wait to feel better, right? So there's some default hesitation, and that's generally what people also do with CTAs is they make the CTA the anti-hesitation. So start your glow up today and so on and so forth. Create low stakes first steps, right? So take the quiz, save the wish list, book a free consultation. Not sure, save the cart. If they have it in the cart, make sure your cart is around when you come back next. Do you want to keep this for us, for 24 days? Do you want to save this? This product runs out of stocks really, really fast. Do you want us to save this for you for the next 48 hours, right? So it's one of those, hey, can you keep it? Do you mind keeping it under the counter till I'm back? That kind of stuff. So can you create that? And then finally, social proof, right? Join the 20,000 people who made the switch. In fact, this is one of the best ways to get some. So if you're running a fashion store, for example, the easiest way you can create trust, because the number one discomfort with fashion is fitting. It's how it will look and fit, right? And returns are hassle. Then you have to find it. In some cases, you have to actually be the one couriering back. So it's kind of a pain. And so the easiest way to create trust is, hey, 98% of our customers say this fit perfectly. Example, if they have a model using the product in the picture, tell the height, the weight, the waist size of the model so that they can imagine what it looks like on a person on the exact size that you're showcasing it. Perfect. All right. So we're going to the next one. This is the last one. If you have any questions, please add them to the chat, and I'll be happy to take them just as I'm done. This is a very easy, very simple concept. And if you want to take away just one thing from this discussion today, it is this. Conversions sometimes, a lot of times, don't depend on the things that you add to your site. Your conversion rate can skyrocket if you just start removing things instead. So cognitive fluency is just keep things simple, right? Things that are easy to understand, process, and navigate are generally easy to trust, enjoy, purchase, and people feel that it's the right thing. And how you do that is first make the shopping journey seamless. Drop downs only when needed. Too many carousels are not going to help. Clear CTAs, no too much selling. Easy filters, no unnecessary steps in the checkout. This is basic stuff. As a matter of fact, do this. Go through all of the JavaScript that's on your site. I'm sure you've added 10 different apps over a period of time, and then you removed them. Check if you already have some of that sitting around. Is it hindering with any of the pages? Visit every page of your site. Of course, if you have too many SKUs, you can't do that, but visit every page template of your site. And I think you will find things that you can take away that don't really add any value. They just either confuse people or give them information they don't need. And I think it's extremely important to do that, right? You have to, marry condo your website. If you don't know who Marie Kondo is, look it up. But yeah, repeat familiar patterns. Cart is always in the top right. The search has to be prominent and visible and sticky. The heart icon is always there for wish listing. Star ratings just below the product title. Price just below the star rating. Hamburger menu, 3 lines is always there. Change, but don't transform, because you are not leading that pack yet. The moment you become Amazon, you can actually transform the way people shop. And Amazon is actually not doing that. They can, but they aren't, right? The thing is, things that are familiar, that are fluent, are the ones that are frictionless. So in this case, for example, extremely simple. Daily greens, super greens powder, 91 vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, 23 calories per serve. It's $45 or $1.50 per serving. As simple as that. This simple snippet explains absolutely everything you need to know. The only question you could have is ingredients, safety, all of those things, right? Which they can solve actually if they just put a picture of Andrew Huberman next to this. This would automatically explode. But I'm just saying that keeping things simple is the most important thing you can do with your site. After everything that I've said today, if you want to take away one thing, that's the thing. Take things away, don't add. So that's everything that we wanted to walk you through today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. I hope this was useful and you were able to take away at least one thing from everything that I said for the last 40 minutes. I might be able to gift you back some of your time. So congratulations on that. But I'm all ears. If you have any questions, please tell me. All right, perfect. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you in the next one.